Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing all the potential rides that could come to Thorpe Park Resort within the near future. So if you guys do go on to enjoy the video, make sure to like, subscribe, anything that makes me know you guys like my content. Definitely as well as that, leave all of your thoughts down in the comments below and I'll try to reply to as many of you as I can. So, with all that said, let's get right into the video. Okay then, so the first thing we're talking about in today's video is actually a potential sequel to the Swarm. Now obviously, way back when Swarm was being built back in like 2011, Thorpe Park released a portfolio labelling everything they're going to try and do within the next couple of years. And within this portfolio, it actually labelled a potential sequel to the Swarm. It actually labelled a smaller walkthrough attraction that was actually supposed to open a year later in 2013. Now obviously this would have been very, very similar to how they dealt with Saw. Obviously, they had Saw the Ride that opened in 2009, and then back a year later, in 2010, they then released Saw Alive. So obviously, if this was to have happened, you know, I think this could have been very, very cool. And potentially now, they're a little bit onward from the Swarm actually opening. Could this project actually potentially be revived? And could we even have a dark ride labelling the backstory for the Swarm? Now, if this was to happen, there are many different ways that Thorpe Park could potentially approach this story. One of the ways, and one of the more likely ways possibly, is the way they treated Nemesis Subterra. Now, obviously, the whole story of Nemesis Subterra over Alton Towers is obviously you coming across an alien Nemesis egg, and obviously being invited in to see it, and then everything goes wrong. Could we potentially see something like this happen at Thorpe Park? I think that could be very cool, maybe being like a nesting ground for one of the Swarm aliens, or something like that. I think it could really work for Thorpe Park to kind of have this as a kind of side attraction to not only really promote the Swarm, but obviously kind of extend onto the lore that I actually think is one of the most interesting in the park. Now, in terms of all the different kind of ride mechanics that could go into this dark ride, potentially we could have maybe even a shooter dark ride, much like Duel over Alton Towers, but instead of it being kind of like small kind of handheld guns, they could be these kind of like mounted like assault rifles that you've got to try and hunt down these alien nests or something like that. I think this could be very cool, and it would kind of put you right into the story for the Swarm, and you would feel more like a part of it. Now, another thing that could potentially happen, like I said, is they could go down the Nemesis Subterra route. Potentially we could have a drop tower. Obviously we know that Nemesis Subterra did get their drop towers from the dungeons, I'm pretty sure. So something like this could obviously work, because obviously Merlin do have their ties to the dungeons. So it'd be very easy for them to implement this. But I think that would kind of lean too much towards Nemesis Subterra. And they kind of want to go for something more unique. But yeah, definitely a shooter could work very well for this. And I think it could be a very good attraction. But obviously only time will tell whether or not Thorpe Park do decide to do this. This is obviously very out on a limb, but you know, that's the whole point of this video, just kind of discussing what could potentially be coming to Thorpe Park. But obviously, let's move into more of a likely one next with an RMC. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to discuss is something that has been discussed to death over the last couple of years, and that is the potential addition of an RMC. Now, obviously, if you've been on Twitter or YouTube or Instagram or anything, you will know that pretty much on every single Thorpe Park kind of post or video, everyone's been commenting RMC, we want an RMC. Now, for those of you out there that don't know what RMC is, obviously when people are saying RMC, they do actually mean RMC hybrids, and these are kind of a mix of metal and wood, and there's been loads of them over the world, and they've only just started to come up and surface and become very popular. But obviously, this would work very well for Thorpe Park. Obviously, with Thorpe Park not having a coaster in over 8 years now, and I definitely can't see it coming within the next couple of years, and I reckon the latest we'll get it is 2023. I do believe that with it being a decade at that point since the Swarm, they need something that the fans want to implement into the park to get everyone excited again. Now, an RMC would also be the perfect kind of ride for them to implement. Obviously, with the kind of areas they have to potentially add a coaster, obviously the first one that comes to mind is obviously the Loggers Leap area. Something like this kind of ride mechanic would work very well in Old Town. It would feel very western. You could potentially have like something themed to cowboys, with it being like a mine shaft or something like that. Something like that would very much work well. Obviously, the other kind of thing they could potentially add is a GTI. That would be very similar to an RMC, but I feel like they would lean more towards an RMC rather than a GTI, like I said, because the fans are wanting it more. Now, this doesn't actually only have to be potentially a Wild West kind of theme. We could have this anywhere around the park. Potentially, obviously, there is a massive, huge open space on the island next to Swarm, which was actually originally detailed to have a coaster on it for the 2016 season. But obviously, we've got Darren Brown's Ghost Train instead. So it's kind of just been sitting there over the last couple of years. They have kind of well kept it. It's not necessarily overgrown, so it does look like they're trying to keep it nice and tidy and clean, potentially to use in the future. So we could potentially see something that literally none of us see coming theme-wise. You know, there's a lot they can possibly do with an RMC, and I think it would be the best option for Thorpe Park because of the fans and also because of the potential that this coaster has. Okay then guys, so that is the end of today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. I'm sorry it's a little bit shorter than usual, but this was kind of a thing I just kind of wanted to share a couple more ideas. Obviously I did go into a little bit more depth with rides and stuff like this in my future Decade of Thorpe Park video, so definitely go check that out if you want to hear more of my theories. But these are kind of two new ones that I kind of wanted to surface and kind of wanted to talk about, because I thought they were quite cool. Now obviously Thorpe Park Annual Pass Day is next week. Hopefully it doesn't get called off because of obviously the coronavirus. At this point, public gatherings have not been cancelled, so hopefully if this holds out within the next couple of weeks, the opening weekend and the annual pass day should be fine. But obviously, you know, that's pretty much up in the air right now. We have literally no clue whether or not that's going to stick. Obviously, if you are going to Thorpe Park, though, definitely be as safe as possible. They will be adding hand sanitizer all around the park, so make sure you guys are using it and washing your hands regularly for not only your safety, but other people's safety as well. So with all that said, I'm not going to keep going on about health and safety. I'm going to let Thorpe Park do all that. But yeah, all that said, I'll see you guys later.